Erin, still a tropical storm, but just wait, because this is expected to be the first, not only hurricane, but major hurricane of the season.
And we have seen a little more growth in the system over the last 24 hours. It's intensifying, it's slow to grow, but it will soon be explosive in growth as we work our way through the next couple days. It's most likely to not cause direct impacts to the U.S., but there are a wide range of scenarios that are still possible, and we are talking about a very powerful hurricane that could be offshore as we work our way into next week. Let's get you updated on the currents, though, where we are at this point and what we are waking up to. So the latest from the Hurricane Center, winds are at 50. So this time yesterday, we were sitting at 45. So obviously an increase in the wind speed. And it is still moving west. Yeah, barely, by 3 miles per hour.
But
I will give you the technicality, Craig. But, you know, I think the most notable thing is that it's still moving to the west. We have not seen any turn to the north, which is inevitable. But again, that's a critical part of this forecast. Do we see this storm hug a little bit farther to the south of this cone or to the north? That makes a big difference if you live in the Caribbean, and also could be a big difference for the U.S. We're going to go into all the nitty-gritty of this, but I understand you want to see the new cone. There's the new cone. The wind part of the forecast is increasing. We'll go through the details in just a moment. But yesterday we were talking about, you know, looking at this setup, what things were causing this to be kind of a slow burn, and those things are still partially in place. As we take a look at the consensus with the forecast, there has been a shift down to the south. A lot of that can be because this is a weaker system. There hasn't been much change between the overnight and this morning's update, and as we work our way through the next 24 hours, the growth is going to be very slow because of these inhibiting factors. Hurricane hunters, they are set to fly, so they're going to take off from Barbados, 4 p.m. today. That means they will be doing their mission later this evening. So a good idea to watch Fox Weather tonight, maybe set a reminder, because we'll be doing live analysis of that data right, you know, with you. So it's a good resource for you.
Visible satellite looks at this point, you know, pretty impressive. You can see on the north and easterly side of that some of the dry air is still in place with it, but there is some moisture, and this is pretty impressive when you think about some of those thunderstorms starting to build and push some of the dust out. But there is still a little to contend with, and a little drier air, rather, is what I should be saying.
Yeah, you can see the dry air right here. It is wrapping in. You can actually see it on satellite wrapping into the circulation itself. But, you know, every day we see more moisture kind of building in with the thunderstorm development. That's a natural process. That's also why one of, you know, the reasons and contributing factor to the increase in speed. Only 5 miles per hour, but it is an increase. And then this is a big factor. Water temperatures have been sitting in the upper 70s underneath Erin for, you know, the last couple days. We're just about to get into the warm stuff. So this will be a slow burn for today, but then we could really see things ramp up quickly as we go into late Friday night and this weekend. And at that point, we're going to be pretty close to land. Wind shear is still there, thankfully. We still have, you know, a few things working on our side. And the wind shear is actually pretty, you know, strong as you take a look at the southern side of this.
Yeah, northern side looks pretty good, and we're seeing a lot of the buildup right there. When we look at the short-term forecast, what happens beyond that? Let's talk about this now, because we expect it, as it moves through those warmer waters, to start to intensify. Still looking at that area of high pressure that it's underneath, and that is helping to redirect the storm off to the west. And we talked about that southerly track there. That high pressure is just a little farther south, keeping that a little farther south as well. Having said that, as we go through the day tomorrow, there is a bit of a break between the two areas of high pressure. Think of it this way. That little weak area there creates a bit of a lane, if you will. And within that lane, that opens up possibilities for Erin to drift these directions. Now, it's a little bit weaker. Once it intensifies, we'll have to see, because the strength of the storm also helps determine where this goes. A stronger, taller storm, it's affected by more of the atmosphere, and that helps to redirect it sometimes also to the north. A weaker storm, well, it just kind of goes a little
under
farther.
the radar, so to speak.
Exactly. And you talked about that, right? Because we were talking about that southerly flow. Well, we should watch closely in the coming days. We should be watching the Northern Caribbean, the Virgin Islands, portions of Puerto Rico, because as we go into the next few days, you'll start to feel the outer bands, right? You think about those outer bands as it grows.
Yeah, this could be a structurally large storm. Here's a reasonable timeline of being impacted by tropical storm force winds. You know, by tomorrow night, we're talking about the Lesser Antilles for Puerto Rico, Saturday morning. So if you have family in Puerto Rico, I would definitely recommend to them to get a couple extra supplies. Right now, the odds of tropical storm force winds for Puerto Rico coming in between 30 Yeah, about 30%.
Yeah, 30 to 40 for the next 5 days. And then what about the hurricane force winds? Well, those, of course, are going to be closer to the center of the storm, so a little farther from Puerto Rico, but still some strong winds. Also some large swell, big surf as well. The radar and clouds as we look ahead through the week, and you'll notice once we get closer to the Lesser Antilles, Friday morning into Saturday afternoon, starting to see perhaps more in the way of coverage, especially Saturday night into the Sunday time frame. So for the weekend, a concern for portions of the, say, Puerto Rico, the DR, also through the Lesser Antilles. You talk about the Virgin Islands as well. When we talk about what it's moving through into the weekend, Britta, we're talking about everything in its favor.
Well, and that's probably when we'll see the rapid intensification, which is marked in the discussion this morning from the National Hurricane Center. It's not going to be happening today, tomorrow.
No.
It is probably going to be happening late this weekend when this passes off to the north of the Caribbean islands. There's a look at the forecast for St. Thomas. Again, these fringe impacts extremely important for the Caribbean as we are looking at a major hurricane passing to the north of them.